Hello and thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Nigeria records 1,178 deaths as cholera ravages 23 states, and the FCT, federal government, raises alarm, says deaths will keep rising as revenues decline. And later on the show, group urges government to prosecute repentant Boko Haram members over forceful marriage. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adekolu Yusuf. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Now, from COVID-19 pandemic to the widespread cholera epidemic, Nigeria is buffeted by two contagions while its doctors are on strike. According to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, the country has recorded 37,819 suspected cases of cholera. Just digest that. 37,819 suspected cases of cholera and 1,178 deaths in 23 states. And the FCT, as of the 14th of August, the NCDC Director General, Dr. Chike Inyoze, said of the reported cases, 26% were the age of 5 to 14, while 51% were males and 49% females. Babajide, cholera, I don't understand this. While we are busy fighting COVID-19, the Delta variant ravaging us, now cholera. And with this figure I'm getting, it seems this cholera seems to be deadlier and killing people more.
Ordinarily, we shouldn't be hearing of deaths of people so high as more than 1,000. Cholera shouldn't ravage our country so much that up to 23 states will be suffering from it. More than 1,000 deaths. About sometime last week, it was still 816. Now we had the latest update from the NCDC indicating that we have lost more than 1,100 people to cholera. Normally, these are preventable diseases.
Honestly.
Diseases that we can avoid.
Associated with extreme poverty.
Because of our poor sanitary nature, we have this problem. In the year 2019, I think October 2019, President Buhari signed the Executive Order 009, and it was designed to ensure that by the year 2025, Nigeria had fully defeated the issue of open defecation. Because this is a waterborne disease. But when people pass feces, that the bacteria benefits from it, and then if it touches the food that you are about to eat or even your water, then you get infected. Right now, Nigeria has overtaken India as the world's #1 when it comes to open defecation. And how we can overtake India is something that I find extremely strange, because I was looking at some figures.
The population of India.
Now, and the size. The Indian population is 1.3 billion. The Nigerian population is just 200 million. Now, the size of India is 3.287 square kilometers, whereas the size of Nigeria is 923,769 square kilometers. Yet, this is a country that we have overtaken.
How?
It just shows that we have a big problem with open defecation. We have not been able to address it. When India was #1, they came up with all kinds of plans, methods to defeat this, empowering the private sector to build toilets here and there that people can use. Mr. President, in that executive order, mandates the law enforcement agencies to ensure that all hotels, all public buildings have toilets. The way it is based on the research conducted by the UNICEF, at least 10 million households in Nigeria do not have toilets. They are practicing open defecation. At least 50 million Nigerians defecate in the bush, in the water. Sometimes the water that they drink, people defecate in it. So why won't people have cholera? Then a lot of us buy water from these water vendors, Merua and the rest of them. You don't know the sources of this water, but you drink. You eat at bukaterias, you don't know how the food was prepared, especially vegetables and all that. Did they properly cook those meals? And then, of course, look at our drains. Our drains are clogged, they are dirty. Our canals are dirty. The people dump refuse in canals. We don't dispose refuse properly. All of these things, and given our usually crowded cities and slums, all of these things ensure that cholera thrives. This, in my view, in recent years is the worst that we have faced. In 2018, we had the serious cholera problem, but it wasn't this bad. Because this one, with the rate at which the figure is rising, I told you that late last week, I was still checking, it was 816. Now it's more than 1,100. So we can't be losing more than 1,000 people to cholera in 1 year. And we're still counting.
And when you look at, it's associated with lack of hygiene, backwardness, and those things that we practice, because I don't know how to classify open defecation. Now, as that's sometimes last week,
people don't have toilets.
Victoria Island, highbrow area, upscale. I went to a building, the building was very close to the lagoon. And I wanted to feel the beauty of the lagoon very close to that building and everything. I just looked down. I just discovered that it was like a mini toilet for these area boys.
You see, it's a crisis that is very complex. Really, really very complex. When you look at water availability in Nigeria, I'm talking about safe water. In most cities in Nigeria, it's a crisis, including here. If you don't sink your borehole, you rely on pure water. In many of the houses where you have what you call face me, face you, there's nothing like that.
I remember.
You get me? You see people moving down with trolleys, or what do you call it, selling water.
Water vendors.
All over. I'm talking about cities. You said cholera is deadlier than coronavirus. It's not true. Coronavirus is mostly the disease of the rich. This one kills poor people most. Ignorant poor people. Yes.
Yeah, that's
you get my point? That's why in advanced countries, what they did is access to safe drinking water, all this other.
Yeah,
and
that's how they, so
it's not a problem that is peculiar to us. But it's peculiar to us now because we have refused to solve the underlying issues, the underlying problems.
Basic.
So now, if in cities, Nigerian cities, anywhere in Nigerian cities, there is problem of water scarcity. You don't have access to safe, Tell me, in which of the states do you hear any governor talking about, I was able to connect so millions to public water? You don't get it in their budget. They don't talk about it. So these are crises. The biggest problems is about water. So when you're not talking about other sanitation, like, do you know that the kind of toilet facilities some houses have today? Fella's song that the qualification of that's what you see in many houses, even in the cities. So now, when you look at where these problems are prevalent, you see that open defecation is like the culture. You get me? There's in the north, you see people all over the road selling water in trolleys, in trucks. You get it? So this water, how clean, how safe they are, nobody knows. So when we now talk about cholera, we are reaping the fruits of what we do.
I don't want us to go to the villages and in suburban area yet. I want to even talk about the so-called developed cities. Yeah. There was a time me and my director of news, we went to Epidemic to actually do some news stories and everything. And she said she wanted to, visit the bedroom. And lo and behold, we started asking people, sorry, this lady wants to visit. And it took us like 30 minutes before we could identify a pit toilet. As in, they were all looking at us as if we were asking for something strange. In Lagos.
They defecate in the water. Although in this whole thing, Lagos has managed to escape these deaths. But it doesn't mean that it may not come. At the rate it's going, Lagos needs to do something. You see people lined up. There's a picture that I wanted to give it to the producer. But because this is a running story, maybe another time I'll give it. These boys lined up. There was this drainage that Fashola constructed. And these boys just sat, they were just defecating. They were on a row. If you are my friend on Facebook, you will have seen that picture. They were on a row. They just lined up like that, as if choreographed, as if they planned it. Everybody was defecating. Some of them with their Igbo, they were just defecating, right? A good drainage, clean, aesthetically perfect. These boys were just defecating and messing up the place.
City.
Yes, in broad daylight.
Yes.
Our people have no shame. In broad daylight, they remove their trousers and they start defecating.
For somebody to do like that, he's under the influence of.
I don't know.
Not all of them.
Then the kind of you can be pressed and hold it, but it is only when it is not watery stool that has pressed you.
Yes, but
if it is watery stool that has pressed you, if you're on the highway and they told you that Boko Haram, they are around that place, you will still beg that they should let you come down. And you prefer toilet, as if there is anything like toilet. You are using toilet like as a verb.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to itemize 3 points regarding this issue of open defecation.
All right.
Cholera and all that.
Yes.
Okay, the major issue I see is that the state governments have left the local government to be not effective, because all these issues of rural development is the function of the local government, which most of the local governments are just like a department of the state. But if you look at the constitution, which I know, is that the local government is supposed to be independent to some extent. The local government are not effective. When I was serving in a rural community in Abia State, I was in health and environmental CDS. I visited a lot of local to collect a lot of data. I saw a lot of wonders. And the second one is that the government are not paying attention to this cholera because it's the disease of the poor. Yes. NCDC, their job is not only to report cases, but to also try to check up the state governments to participate, because this issue is in the residual list. So the issue of the health of the state is really a problem, because frankly speaking, state governments are not doing enough to combat this issue of open defecation, poor drinking water, and all that. So I think state government have to wake up.
Let me ask you a question. But the FCT is one of the worst hit. So who do we blame for that?
The problem is that, I actually cannot say too far, but the problem is that, the FCT, they have their own administration. Is it the FCTA? Federal Capital Territory Administration. They have their own. So there is a problem. There has to be inner systemic problem because the federal government is saturated with issues. It's not everything has to be federal government. This has to be the state. The FCT has the way they work, despite the fact that they are capital territory. They have the ministers, they have the municipal area council, they have all that. And of course, in fact, generally in Nigeria, the issue of water, potable water is not available in most places in Nigeria, except in major urban settings.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. I think it's still what it is, because when you start looking at facts, figures, the statistics, and you start looking at the way we've been doing this thing, and maybe government is paying attention to it, I don't think so.
Even if they are paying attention, they can't see the strategy.
Let me be honest with you. The governments at the state level, they are the ones that have the bulk. I mean, they are the ones that actually tackle this problem. But they are not doing enough.
You don't expect the federal government to start building
it's not
public toilets.
It's not. Apart from public toilets, the root of it is access to safe. Where is the water? In 2010, do you know we had crisis bigger than this? Cholera crisis bigger than this. You get my point? In 1991, we had more than 7,000 people that died as a result of cholera.
I know that 1991.
I remember. That's the worst in our history. Since 1971, when we started having this problem in Nigeria. So it has been a big issue. You don't see one state government, talking about how many people it has been able to put on public water. The safest water anywhere is the one, the public water. But you don't have it. The governors want to privatize it. Where you have a little, they want to privatize it. They want to make money from it. Whereas in western region of those days, it's the Yoruba land. Jide can attest to it. You will see water, they will erect in the open all over the place. Now, when you're not talking about public toilet, even in our public schools, you don't have good toilet. Even in hospitals, you are talking about in marketplaces, except the ones, this Otumba Gaddafi, who now brought this investment.
And we stop that.
That's what has reduced the problem in Nigeria. It would have been worse. So we are not being proactive. We are not doing anything to solve this problem. If not this Otumba Gaddafi matter, where do you see? Tell me in any of the cities.
Those one, even the Otumba Gaddafi initiative is not a permanent one.
It's not even a permanent, but it helps. For example, in a market, you can pay 100 naira and take care of yourself.
I have Ade from London.
Yes, good evening. My greeting to everyone on the panel.
Good evening, Ade.
I was watching your TVC, listening to the news, I think today or yesterday, and I was hearing that in Edo State, the government just enacted a law that all revenue of the local government should be paid to one account. Then the government will now be sharing it to each local government. Revenue of every local government. How can such a local government perform? That's one example. The state government, the normal revenue they collected in each local government, they took it to one account. Then we will now share it to them. How do you want that local government to perform?
We can't really verify that.
We can't verify
that.
We can't verify
that. The poor people are the houseboy of the.
We can't verify that. These days there are so many things that
I'm sure
there was something
if I look for that package, if I look for that story, I'm sure it's not about. It might not be.
It was said that Lai Mohammed had snaked to go and do a meeting with Twitter people. And Nigerians will read this thing, they just believe, because social media is brimming with all kinds of individuals. Lies. So people promote lies.
Somebody went through the airport. So we went through the checks.
How about you want
to fly a private jet? He flew a commercial line. So how do you now use that word snaked?
He even said that it is not good there to do meeting with them. People just come up with lies. So these days, everything we read, we must first verify. And that's why, once you are committed to the truth, you say, okay, let's be sure that this is truth. People will hate you. That's the way we are. But let's be committed to the truth. The truth shall set us free. You can't be just like that story. Now, if we investigate now, we'll discover that it's true. Because I don't see how
we wake up in the morning
and say this is what should be done. I mean,
Olusegun Oke is calling us from Lagos.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Shegun.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Shegun.
Yeah, Abuja.
I greet you.
How are you, my boss?
I greet you. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Dean. Is that Mr. Dean? Sorry.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know you too.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, thank you. You are doing a great job, my people. God bless you for the topic. I think I will still employ our government to help us on this cholera before it gets out of hand. Honestly, if you go to our railway line early in the morning from Osodi, go down.
That's the toilet.
Yes, you will see people. You will always baffle me.
Railway line.
Railway line. I'm telling you. Go to Osodi, go to everywhere, BWD. That is where our people will go down and toilet.
No toilets.
And be looking at them. There is a popular company along the Lupeju, producer of a drug. If you see them early in the morning, within that place, or even on top of their flower, they will sit there, they will do everything there.
They don't care.
Our manager are not going to get cholera. It's only God that can help us. God bless you.
Thank you. Big markets, for example, if we can't put toilets in those big markets, we can't put enough toilets, because what some women do, they go into their shops, they will open the plastic bag, they will just open it, defecate inside, tie it, and then look for a place, they will just throw it. Like as if you are throwing shot put, they will just throw it. In fact, someone tell me, let me tell you a story of something that happened in Okeani. In Okeani, the woman, after defecating in the plastic bag and tied it, she was just moving gingerly with it so that people will not know that it's actually her excrement that was in the bag. So she saw something that interested her that she wanted to buy. And she was pricing the thing. One boy was just moving towards the woman. She thought that she had money in the bag. She just snatched the bag. So the woman said, pẹ̀lẹ́ o, mi á lò ó, wàá gbádùn ẹ̀ máa lọ. Ó ṣe o. He thought it was money that was in the black bag. It was the woman's excrement. Somebody shit inside bag, you snatch them. You think say that money you snatch. You see, that's the thing.
Even at that level, the big markets, okay, it's the responsibility of government to make sure that they have
and get the private sector to do it. You know, their survey showed that only 11 local government out of 774 did not, do not suffer from open defecation. That open defecation is practiced in all our local government except 11. So I'm already imagining maybe some of our highbrow local governments, you know, the best of the best. Those are the 11. I'm interested in knowing those 11. Just 11 local governments out of 774. Everywhere we are practicing open defecation. It's just, it's terrible.
Then,
that's the solution.
Then when you talk about refuse disposal system, all the cities in Nigeria, they've not got it right. We've tried in Lagos, but there is still a lot that we can do. Do you know there are some parts of Lagos that you still see? I say, why? You
we have too many slums.
Openly throwing their
okay. Let me
out.
When you go to command area, the state government deemed it fit. They done a very good road, dualized the road. But in the morning, when you are passing that place, they are there. They are watching me now. So their next, where they used to throw their refuse is just in between that beautiful road.
The median.
So PSP2 will come and park in between the major road.
And the moment
it will go for like 2 kilometers.
And the moment the PSP park, the PSP people park
animals.
And the moment the PSP people park it and they are going, another people are dropping.
That is their permanent.
So you realize that. So you now wonder what's wrong with Nigerians. We too, we are part of the problem.
No, the road median shouldn't be, although it was originally designed like that, for them to come take those liters instead of using these boys cart pushers, because the cart pushers will dump refuse wherever they like. But what government needs to perfect is for these bins to be evacuated from house to house. All those paying house to house, medians, is a lot better now. It used to be worse than that in many parts of Lagos. It's a lot better now, you know, because once you are paying, there is a PSP operator assigned to your locality. That one will come from house to house. They will pack your waste.
But it's not compulsory. Some houses are not paying.
Okay, that's another topic entirely. We'll go for this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. So join this Hangout, please. We'll be right back. Stay with us. It's your favorite news and current affairs program reaching you live from TVC News here in our headquarters, Lagos, Nigeria. And I still have Babajide Kolade Otitojo and Adekunle Yusuf here with me. Hard times are here, and government is also feeling the heat. The federal government has raised the alarm that the country's debt profile will keep rising as it will continue to borrow more to fund the 2022 budgets. It says it will also spend more to service the growing debts. As such, Nigeria's debt stock will keep rising as revenues are declining. As of the last count, we've incurred over 20 trillion naira, both internal and external debts. And the way we projected 2021, the budget, I immediately saw it. I knew that funding was going to be the main challenge. Now, ahead of 2022 now, you don't need any soothsayer to tell you that paying our existing debt and even borrow more to finance these budgets. Whatever we borrowed in 2021, I know that it's going to be doubled for 2022.
You know, I've talked about this before, and I said in the post-COVID era, all countries are adjusting their budgets to current realities. In our own case, we are increasing the size of the budget year on year, not caring whether we can meet revenue projections or not. Ordinarily, because of what we went through with COVID, because of what the global community went through with COVID, the size, the budget, the 2021 budget size shouldn't be that big. You try to shrink the size of your budget in line with realities, because revenues are shrinking everywhere. It's not a Nigerian problem alone. The problems that COVID caused all oil-producing nations suffered from it. So people decided, okay, let's not shrink our budget. Even look at the clubs, for example. The reality, the football clubs, the reality is they can't make the kind of money they were making before.
Look at what happened to Barcelona.
People want to sell, yes. Yeah, people want to sell players, but the buyers are not there.
Even offered to cut 50% of his salary.
Yes, because clubs are slashing budget. So in our own case, for reasons best known to us, we just went, okay, even this 2021, this should be the size of the budget. When you knew that you will not be able to find the money to fund the budget. Now, the unfortunate thing is, every year, we're already talking about 2022, that we are going to get loans to fund the budget. The question for me, Ayo, is when are we going to stop borrowing money to fund the budget? When? Because when you are told that, oh, this borrowing is for capital expenditure, we want to fund projects, big projects, but that is not true. Part of the money that the loans that we are taking, we are using to pay loans that were already there. And if you read the finance minister properly, go through what she said, and I don't blame her, because she has to be open.
She
has to open up because she's facing the international community. People, we want to take more loans. People will ask questions and all that. She's already telling us that capital expenditure will suffer. What does that tell you? That should tell you that look,
structure.
because normally it is capital projects that benefit the ordinary man. Recurrent expenditure benefits the civil servants who wants to steal.
Government bureaucracies.
Yes, that's what I mean by the civil servant who wants to steal. It's the capital projects benefit the ordinary folks. But she has already told us, if we read between the lines, that capital expenditure will come down. That is what Nigerians don't want to see. Because if we are taking loans to build projects, yes, we agree. Now, if part of these loans will go to servicing debt, that means we are digging ourselves into a hole that we may not be able to come out of it easily. And the question is, when does that stop? Are we going to stop by the 2025 budget to stop taking loans to fund the budget? When are we going to stop? The only way to do it is to limit your expectations, shrink your projections. These projections we know will not just work. Go back to the projections about the 2021 budget. We can see clearly that they are not working. It didn't work the previous year. It's not working for 2021 because the revenue is simply not coming in. Investors are not coming in. Who wants to invest in a country with insecurity and all that? And where are you going to find the money? And you must fund the budget. And you must pay the debt, and the debts in any case are denominated in foreign currency. You must pay them. So we've got to come up with the right strategy. What is the CBN doing, for example? Today, banks have been told that they should be in charge of forex sales. Not a bad idea, given that the bureau de change operators were into money laundering and the rest of that. But we are also dashing money to banks, because if you peg the exchange rate at 410, and you know that the parallel market is 510, you are just dashing people 100 naira for not doing anything. That means we
encourage round tripping. Yes,
we are just now banks, instead of lending to the real sector, which is the engine of growth, the banks will now save their money for foreign exchange transactions. That's where the banks will be spending their money now. Who will be interested in lending when you can spend money on forex?
This is difficult to comprehend. That we are going to have a deficit budget again. That we are going to have a budget that we don't have funds to finance.
It's really sad because when you look at it, over the years, the trend is the same. When you look at 2019, Nigeria made 3.8 trillion total revenue for the country, but it spent 2.11 trillion to service loans. That's their record. This is not opinion of anybody, which is 54.6% of the total revenue went into. But I mean, services. That is because you have to pay interest on those loans. Now,
I want to keep going.
Last year, Nigeria made a total of 3.2 trillion throughout last year, but we spent 2.3 trillion to service our debts, which is 72% of our total, earnings. So, which means that we got worse from 54% in 2019, we went lower to 72%. That is to say, people don't understand, it means that out of 100 naira Nigeria mix, more than 70 naira will go into servicing interest on debts that we have. So what we are seeing is Nigeria is underperforming in revenue generation. When you look at Nigeria very well, when it comes to revenue from non-oil sector, Nigeria is doing fantastically well. It's either they get the target or they even get above it. But when you go to oil revenue, Nigeria is a failure, abysmal failure in that aspect. But instead of Nigeria to sit down and realize what the enormity of the problem is, Nigeria keeps spending more than it earns. So as an individual, when you spend more money than your salary, what it means is either you go to Jide or you come to me to borrow money, because you have to make, you get what I'm. So that's what Nigeria is doing. So you will see, this is a country where you have problem of revenue shortages. But every day you see them, they are establishing new universities, they are spreading this, they are coming up with new institutes, they are coming with new commissions. So it means that you are expanding the recurrent revenue base of the current expenditure base of the government without a corresponding expansion in revenue generation. So what we are going to have is we continue to have more and more economic crisis. And I believe a government that is winding down like this one should think twice about this kind of issue.
Okay, I have Engineer Afolabi from Songwater, Ogun State.
Yes. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
And Ayo, my other patriot on the street.
His name is Adekunle.
Yes, I want to see Yoruba say, Ayawo Sanwo, Gbese Ọrùn ẹ̀ ò lè tán. What I mean is that how can we be borrowing to pay debt? One. But when we are having oil revenue and the oil is increasing internationally, that excess, where does it go? I think it seems we are operating on the template of the administration of Abuja. I think it is nothing to that. When we are having more money at the international market and we can't the money at the remission.
Thank you. The figures are not looking good at all. Not looking good. I remember when Gozo Konjo-Iweala, when we celebrated that debt relief, it was that time that we were able to pay the Paris Club $12 billion and debt was forgiven. Now we both local and international debt, we are heavily indebted, and some people will tell you that yes, the administration is borrowing money to finance infrastructure that will last us years upon years and years, that they will employ people from the work, that they are constructing roads, they will employ Nigerians directly or indirectly, that it will just keep the whole thing running, that you have to borrow to save the economy.
The truth is, there are some projects that we shouldn't get involved in. Building 10 lanes to somewhere. There are some projects that will not repay themselves. Let me tell you, the Abuja Kaduna rail project, we've been operating it since 2015. We have not made profit. Yes.
Despite the fact that they have high...
We have not made profit. As of today.
Concentration of people.
We have not made profit.
It is not even commercially viable.
We've not made profit. Let me tell you, now you take loans to do those big projects. How do you pay back? How do you pay back? Those projects, the projects that can repay themselves are the projects that we should go for when we say we are taking loan for this infrastructure, for that infrastructure. If those projects can't repay themselves, then that means we took a bad decision in taking loans to start those projects. So that is the thing. No one is against infrastructure. Yes, we have infrastructure deficit that we must address. But what we need to do now is to do our best to improve our capacity to generate revenue. In the past, I have said that, look, when people say that a debt to GDP ratio, no, it cannot work in our case. we should be looking at debt to revenue ratio. If your capacity to bring in revenue is low, then how do you pay? That means the cycle of borrowing will not stop. And we have to stop at some point, because when you have already, we are being warned. I think Okonjo-Iweala and Akinwumi of ADP, they warned us the other day.
Stylishly.
Yes, which we were still told that, debt to GDP ratio of Nigeria. If you are talking about debt to GDP ratio, countries like Japan, yes, they can be talking about debt to GDP. But in our own case, the problem is we are not bringing in enough revenue. So it makes continuous borrowing unsustainable, and we have been warned. The earlier we take the warning, the better.
All right. Okay, and finally, a group known as Christian Solidarity Worldwide Nigeria has called for prosecution of repentant Boko Haram insurgents for crimes against Nigerians. The group particularly demanded justice for Ruth Bogu and Asana Adamu, who were abducted by Boko Haram fighters from government secondary school Chibok in Borno and recently returned with 2 children each after 7 years in captivity. Kuni, they violated these girls, they've done everything, and they've even altered their destiny. And
I've never liked any idea of maybe amnesty or whatever you call it for people who have destroyed, maimed, killed, terrorized, our society. Whether you capture them or they willingly surrender themselves, there is no way somebody will come to the public treasury, and will steal billions, and will say later that even though I'm not going to, I apologize, and you have to punish the person. So, not only for violating this case, but of the lives that were lost. They killed, do you know how many people have died? They've killed directly. You know how many people have been displaced? You know the kind of total destruction. There was one year I visited Madagali, Mobi, and I saw the scale of destruction. I was shocked that, you mean Nigeria went through this? Some places they will demolish bridges, hospitals, schools, everything, totally. And you won't see one person there.
Square one.
Everything destroyed. So those who are doing that,
setting the whole area back for another 40 years, they can't recover.
All of a sudden, because the army is a bit, on the offensive now, there's evidence that they won the war now. Some people now say, let's surrender. And you say they should go home and say no more. That would be a big tragedy, a big mistake. And I love what the governor of Borno is saying. It's not embracing them. We have to think about what to do with them, because they are a danger to society. Nobody can tell you that somebody has been radicalized. All of them, we need to, let the law speak.
We've been on this case now, and since Sunday, and we've been looking at the twist and turn of this so-called repentant
Boko Haram. I said repentant Boko Haram
members. And so when you look at it, Arewa Consultative Forum led by Adube yesterday called for their prosecution.
Yes.
And these ones are saying that no, they should also be prosecuted.
We are too emotional in our country, and we jubilate too early, sometimes needlessly. This war,
and we forget
I know
easily.
I've been called names over my reading of the situation in the Northeast, over my assessment of the war in the Northeast. I don't blame the people who are abusing me and say all kinds of things. Many of them have not taken the risk that I've taken to go to the places that I've been to. So they can sit in their homes and abuse people. oh, you don't want the army to win the war, you hate Nigeria, all those funny things that people say on social media. But if you have seen destruction, if you have seen Boko Haram fill a well with people's corpses, you see Boko Haram behead people, destroy entire communities, you are going to think twice about amnesty for these ones. And I'm happy that it is the people of the area. No one can feel this more than the Shehu of Borno himself.
It can degenerate into a
No
process.
one can feel this more than the governor of the state. He knows there is a precarious situation that he's facing. Now, a lot of this, what are these guys doing? They are simply pushing their wives to government. Go and start taking care of our wives. Because if you look at the videos, a clear majority are women. Where are their husbands? Their husbands are staying put in the bush and pushing their women and children to the government to start feeding. The kind of attention that the people that they traumatized and ended up in the IDP camps don't get. We have done reports about suffering in the IDP camps, where they cook rice for people, they deliberately will not let the rice done. It won't be cooked sufficiently so that the people won't be able to eat everything. You know, when you are eating rice that is hard, you give it up at some point so that they can feed their animals, their livestock with the remnant. The more remnant that is left, the greater their joy. Because they are taking, yes, we did analysis on this and showed pictures. Now, you go to communities, it's not just Chibok girls alone. Everywhere, every time these people attack a community, the people they leave behind are the people who are extremely old, who are useless to them, 90-year-olds, you know, people who can barely walk. They take the men, they use the men to work. They have farms in the areas that they control. They have farms. They use the men to farm, the women to cook for them. They give the young women out as wives to their commanders. That's what happened. Shekau boasted about it that, look, I have given out Chibok girls to my commanders and sold some as slaves. People thought at that time that I was lying. Are we not seeing Chibok girls now coming with 2 kids and the rest? When he said he had married them off, check that video again. He boasted that he had married them off to his commanders. Are we not seeing that it is true that when he said it, he was not lying? So now, you forced a 16-year-old girl into marriage and put her in the family way. You now come out in the open to say you have repented. So why did you marry this underage? Why did you force this underage girl into marriage? That is the point that this group is saying, that kind of person deserves to be put on trial. And I believe absolutely that's the best thing.
Okay, look at the boy now. The boy,
yeah?
That means the boy grew up
right now in the bush. Yes, that's where somebody was telling me that, look, some of these guys, that they had not even seen bananas before. They don't know what banana looks like, because in the part of the forest where they are, bananas don't grow. You know, so this is the thing. They've been there. Look, now their own relatives, they are just pushing, government, go and take care of these people for us. No, they have to sit down and think. They have to sit down and think.
Evaluation, we need to go.
A lot of these people,
the children, they need to work on them. So
the life that they forced on these people was not what they planned.
The concept of humanity to these people.
It was not what they planned. Now look at the boy, see the handsome boy. You see, this is not a life that they planned for. And the people subjected them to this kind of life, there should be justice. There was a quotation that I saw. Let me read the quotation. It said, when talking about Boko Haram, when the accused is punished, the victim is avenged. When the guilty pays, fairness is exalted. That's what the quotation is saying, and derived from the Bible. That when the accused is punished, the victim is avenged. The victim feels that yes, justice has been done to me when you punish the accused person. But right now, they are looking for opportunities to continue to feed off Nigeria after visiting violence of their country.
To be taken in,
yes,
to be fed by the government,
yes,
and they might still be dangerous.
So how many Zulum, just like his boss Kashim, would want a situation in which even the IDP camps are shut down? You know, Kashim Shettima tried to do it. I told him at that time that no, that you cannot shut any IDP camp. When their communities are still unsafe, where do they go to? Now, this governor has said that keeping people in IDPs is not sustainable. So the IDPs at some point, we have to find something to do with them. If we keep their communities safe, they will be able to go back. But the problem is those areas are not safe. So how do they go back? They will die. Now, what do we do with these ones now that are coming? That means they are worsening the IDP situation.
The final thing is, repentant Boko Haram, the government has been doing something. They released repentant Boko Haram. We should try them. We should. I don't know who is afraid of letting this so-called repentant Boko Haram to face the law. We have the laws that can take care of them. Let the courts, pronounce on them.
The ones that have even been arrested. What have we done to them?
We are not doing anything.
How many of them have we put on trial? Yes, we had that some people who are sending money to Boko Haram. Some Bureau de Change operators were giving money to Boko Haram to fund the fight. When are we going to put them on trial?
The government is saying it that if we start prosecuting those, sponsoring and financing Boko Haram, it's only talk and no.
We have not seen action.
There are no action.
Okay, and that's a wrap on the program today. Adekulu Yusuf, thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. And BKO, thank you for your contribution as always. Now, join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. And don't forget to join us on Sunday for Journalist Hangout Sunday. That's 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.